Oh, okay. The birth of Lord Krishna. So the plan, let's see if Krishna permits, but the plan is to discuss chapter 3 of Canto 10, starting with the first verse of chapter 3. Now, chapters 1 and chapters 2 of Canto 10 are also fantastic. And if we had a month of Sundays, we could do both. But for this time around, it's chapter 3 of Canto 10. Now, a little bit of astrology, the Rohini constellation. At the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. And the way it's described, everyone could sense it. Something, something, something very auspicious is about to happen. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashvini. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. Now, Sridhar Swami, there's a number of commentaries. This one is his. And in red letters you see Nija Rupena. That's his commentary on the first verse. In this third chapter, Hari took birth by himself as his own form, Nija Rupena. He was praised by his parents, and he was brought to Gokula by his father, who was afraid. Now, he had reason to be afraid, or at least cautious, because Kamsa is cruel. He had already killed the first 6 children born of Vasudeva and Devaki, and here's the 8th child, and he wanted to take him away so that Kamsa couldn't do anything to harm his child. The fact that the constellations, this is Jiva Goswami's commentary, the fact that the constellations and so on were peaceful is because on that day of the Rohini constellation, all the constellations and so on were devoid of a fierce aspect. Now, I don't know enough about astrology to say, how can you tell if a fierce aspect is there or not? So if you want to answer that question, you go ask the astrologer, but don't ask me. But that's Jiva Goswami. This is because the fierce aspects had given up their state of being fierce. Does anybody know enough about astrology to say what that means? What's a fierce aspect of a constellation? Okay. I think I know I can ask to get the answer to that question. There was the Nava, that means 9, grahas, the constellations. When the Lord's desire to appear took place, the time became endowed in that way, either by nature or by his potencies. That is, everything became very nice. The astrological influence of the constellation known as Rohini was also predominant because this constellation is considered very auspicious. So it's a good time for Krishna to appear. This is Prabhupada's purport. Rohini is under the direct supervision of Brahma, who is born of Vishnu, and it appears as the birth of Lord Vishnu, who in fact is birthless. Prabhupada has an interesting way of saying things. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. The atmosphere was as pure as the heart of the devotees. Now, Krishna first appeared in the mind of Vasudeva because his mind was, Vasudeva was completely pure. So Krishna appeared there. And from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, into the womb of Devaki, like that. So the heart of a great devotee like Vasudeva is like the sky at night when Krishna appeared. Now the illustration is meant to show the prison. There's a big fortress. You'll see some other illustrations. Big fortress. And within that big fortress, or some part of the big fortress, is Kamsa's prison. So there's Krishna's appearing in the prison of Kamsa. Then multiple acharyas are going to comment on how the atmosphere was felt to be auspicious or made to be auspicious, going through different of the elements, starting with the ether element. Clearness of sky and twinkling stars, a quality that belongs to autumn, is mentioned even though it was the rainy season. The qualities of the autumn season are described even though, this is Vishwanath, even though it was rainy season, because all the elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, were jubilant. So down to the elements of matter, they became jubilant also. Earth, decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds. The earth seemed all auspicious. Now you notice what's up there in the sky? That's the Rohini nakshatra or constellation. So it's meant to illustrate. And then over on the right, up on this rise of a hill, that's Kamsa's prison house. So we've seen already, we'll see it a few more times, a little close-up of his prison house. And that's the river Yamuna. So his prison house is right along the bank of the river. And there's the Rohini constellation. The joy of water. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. Now, many of you know, and if you didn't know, now you'll know, lotuses close at night. When the sun comes, they open. They stay open during the day, and at night the lotus is closed. But this is poetic because the lotuses are wide open at night. Remember, it's getting close to midnight. Night assumed the qualities of day. It is mentioned that the lake resplendors on account of aquatic lotuses. This is a characteristic of daytime. But the scene was present at midnight when the Lord appeared. In the trees and green plants, full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes. Birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. Now the painting is kind of small, but if you had good eyesight, you could see the swarms of bees besides the stars in the sky. There's bees zooming around. And they were singing, not just buzzing, because it's Krishna's appearance. Birds, plants, bees, etc., being depicted. This is verse number 4. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the senses of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. When the Brahmanas engaged in ritualistic ceremonies, ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Now that's quite unusual, but it's a nice painting. Even though there was a breeze, although this was nighttime, and although the sacrificial fires had almost been extinguished, now they blazed. The air element again. The air or the wind had the coolness of spring's breezes, although it was autumn or the rainy season, laden with the fragrance of spring flowers, free from dust, etc. So it's dark of night. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu was about to appear, the saints and brahmanas, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts. And kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary system. So Krishna is born already, but he hasn't been born already. It's just a nice painting. Nice painting. The mind, intelligence, senses, sense objects, and 5 gross elements all became joyful, being previously afflicted by the harassment of the demons. The devotees' minds, intellects, senses, and body now became joyful, the whole place, because Krishna is about to appear. So the atmosphere is being set. The Kinnaras and Gandharvas began to sing auspicious songs. The Siddhas and Charanas offered auspicious prayers, and the Vidyadharas, along with the Apsaras, began to dance in jubilation. They knew what was coming. Next, text 7. The demigods and great saintly persons showered flowers in a joyous mood, and clouds gathered in the sky and very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of the ocean's waves. So this is poetic, because they're far from the ocean, and I've never heard clouds sounding like ocean waves, but that's okay. It's a metaphor. The clouds are described as anu sagara, or following the ocean, anu sagaram. That means that they imitated the roaring of the ocean. That's the clouds. Why roaring of ocean? Vishnu Purana. So the message in the Bhagavatam just amplifies or resonates with the message of Vishnu Purana. The ocean produces attractive music with its roaring, according to Vishnu Purana. So as the ocean makes its music with roaring, so the clouds were also imitating that roaring of the ocean. When did all this take place? Previously, it was stated that all directions were overjoyed, and the cloudless sky was filled with stars. So how could there be rumbling of clouds? I get questions like this all the time from the Chinese devotees. They're good listeners and they pick up on stuff like this, but it's purposeful, it's poetic. Therefore, it is described that this happened deep into the night when everything became covered in darkness. Now, that doesn't give a logical explanation. It's metaphorical. Metaphorical. Next verse. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was of the same category as Sri Krishna. Now, I spent some time meditating on what does that mean. But you go, there's several verses, several commentaries, on Deva Rupinyam. So Devakyam, that's Devaki. Deva Rupinyam. And the explanation given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is, this means that she, Devaki, is in the category of an expansion of Krishna's internal potency. In that sense, so Shakti and Shaktiman, they're not in the same category, but they're in the same divine category, or of the Supreme. So the energy that's energetic and the energy of the Supreme, or Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, that's Pratibhavitabhis, that's directly from Brahma Samhita, where in that verse of Brahma Samhita, it's describing the role of Radharani in relation to Govinda. And Radharani in relation to Govinda, she's in this Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, or an expansion of Krishna's internal potency. She's an expansion of Krishna's internal potency. And Devaki is an expansion of Krishna's potency. Now, the Krishna's potency that Devaki represents is not the same that Radharani represents, but it's the same category. But dwelling on it a little bit, because it can be, what does it mean? It can be confusing. So here's some further. Devakyam, Deva Rupinyam. This verse indicates that Krishna and his entourage are of the same spiritual potency, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. This is Prabhupada's purport. Krishna's father, his mother, his friends, the cowherd boys, and the cows are expansions of Krishna. Now, expansions of Krishna's potencies, they're not Vishnu Tattva. But to be an expansion of Krishna doesn't mean it has to be Vishnu Tattva. It can be Shakti Tattva, it can be Jiva Tattva, it can be different positions, but expansions of Krishna. That's the meaning of that phrase from the verse. Devaki is also an expansion of Krishna, and therefore this verse says, Devakyam, Devi Rupinyam. Instead of Deva Rupinyam, Prabhupada writes, some texts of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly say Vishnu Rupinyam. In either case, the meaning is that Devaki has the same spiritual form as the Lord, Shakti and Shaktiman. same spiritual form, a fully spiritual form. When the time came for the Lord's birth from the womb of Devaki, whose eternal body was full of knowledge and bliss, like the Lord's, Deva Rupinyam, Vishnu appeared. Clear? I hope it's clear, because there's like 4 slides just elaborating on making it clear. In the verse, maybe you didn't notice, but color-coded, Janardana. There's several explanations of why he here is addressed as Janardana. One is being requested, or ardana, by the devotees, by the munis, and by the devatas, or the janas. Oh Lord, now is the time for your birth. Janardana. Being requested. Janardana. Janardana. The name Janardana signifies either. There's 3 options. Dushta Jana Nasaka. He kills wicked people. Janma Lakshana Samsara Dvamsaka. He terminates material existence characterized by birth. Or Shri Brahmadi Bhaktajana Prartya. He is requested by devotees, such as Shri Brahma, Sanatana Goswami, Janardana. So our acharyas are amplifying 2 particular phrases. Therefore, no one can find any fault in the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchitananda Vigraha, appeared from the womb of Devaki. So the painting, interesting painting, there's Vasudeva and Devaki in the background. And then there's forms of the Lord that are appearing, and the forms of the Lord are being worshipped. The form of the Lord is that in the baby crib over there, and then different personalities are worshiping, not visible to our eye. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. So there he is, appearing in his full stature. And there they are in their prison cell, somehow managing to make the appearance of the Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appear. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon in the sky on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised, Srila Prabhupada writes, that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. But he answers. The answer is, since Lord Krishna appeared in the moon dynasty, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So, by the grace of Krishna, the moon could appear as a full moon. To welcome the Lord, the waning moon became a full moon. So count from the time of Balaram Purnima, that's the full moon, you count 8 days, 8 days of the waning moon, that's the Ashtami. Look in the sky and it's not a full moon. It's a waning moon. Why did the Lord accept appearance in the moon dynasty? This is Hari Suri, compliments of Hari Parshad's translation. And his answer is, according to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in chapter 11, Shashi Surya Netram, the sun and the moon are my two eyes. So he's already appeared in one dynasty. Lord Ramachandra appeared in the sun dynasty. So now it's time to appear in the moon dynasty. In this appearance, he wanted to illuminate the moon dynasty, his second eye, and thus he appeared in this dynasty. He doesn't need a good reason, but there's a good reason. Harivangsha, the great Lord, the invincible sun, appeared in the eastern direction in the evening as the moon within Devaki to awaken the lotus of the universe. Now this is poetry within poetry within poetry. So someone's going to try to unpack the poetry. So he, the Supreme Lord, is invincible, and because he's the source of all energies, the object that he's identified with is the sun. The great Lord, the invincible sun, appeared in the eastern direction in the evening as the moon within Devaki to awaken the lotus of the universe. So this, when the sun appears, the lotus is open, commonly. So the lotus of the universe opens when Krishna makes his appearance. He who sleeps in the hearts of all souls, who sleeps in the hearts of all souls. Paramatma, right? And in Mathura, and in Vaikuntha, invisible to the common man, like an inaccessible cave in a mountain. He was not born, with pain like a normal child. He appeared like the full moon rising in the eastern sky. Now the verses of the Bhagavatam are poetic in themselves, but our acharyas really like poetry. They're kavis, they're very learned, and they like understanding and appreciating and relishing in this poetic language or metaphorical language. But one of the main features is everything becomes transformed into a joyfulness, which means it comes back to this understanding that Yogamaya or Vishnumaya or Mahamaya, all the energies that are from the Supreme, one of Prabhupada's favorite examples, it's like electricity. It can make things hot and make things cold. It's one energy, electricity. And when the spiritual side is open, then it acts as Yogamaya. That same one energy acts as Yogamaya. And the Yogamaya makes things very nice. So even matter takes on characteristics that are very nice. And that's the message. It's the time for Krishna's appearance. So everything is brilliant and effulgent and joyful. Even the wind and the air and the water and then you name it. Because the internal potency is manifesting the personality of Godhead. So everything is made special. To fool Kamsa, Krishna appeared in the 8th month of pregnancy. This is a detail. Harivangsha says, without the pregnancy period being completed, in the 8th month, Devaki and Yashoda gave birth at the same time. Now, this is the European BBT, a little change the mood a little bit. Once upon a time, in 1970, the summer of 1970, Srila Prabhupada was on a track from the time that he was in India and then came to America, continuing second canto, but having brought, he was focused on Srimad Bhagavatam. And we didn't know this until the book came out, but Nectar Devotion and Krishna book came out close to around the same time. And, he was focused on Srimad Bhagavatam, but he was a little distracted by Nectar Devotion and Krishna book. And he explained, we were very surprised that he was so much focused on the successively going through the Srimad Bhagavatam that these other two publications came. And he explained, I had no idea how long I would live. And I wanted at least that my disciples would have a proper understanding of the 10th Canto Bhagavatam instead of the other kind. So that he did what he called a summary study. And there's many fascinating details in how he did what he did. And in many cases, summary study meant he made statements without giving an explanation. But the explanation is in the detailed commentary by your acharyas, but it was just a summary study. Then you take something, if you find some things, I encourage you, if you find some things in Srimad Bhagavatam, if you're reading carefully, you'll find some things that leave you head scratching. What? And then if that happens, one of the options for you is you can go to commentary and you may find the answer. This just happened without the details are nice. In Canto 3, Chapter 1, there's a description of Devaki and Akrura being cousins. No, not Akrura. Vidura, yeah. Thank you. Now, he doesn't explain, but he's taking something from the previous acharya that gives the explanation. This puzzle piece fits together with that puzzle piece fits together with that. So it's good to read carefully, and if you get a little confused by something, go to one of the things to do is go to the commentary of acharyas, and you may get a very straightforward, simple answer. So there's details to all of this. Here's something that's reasonably simple. The 8th child of Devaki was whom? The 7th child of Devaki was Balaram. And Krishna arranged for the Balaram pregnancy to be transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. That was after 3 months. And then Balaram wanted to wait for Krishna's appearance. So he appeared on the Purnima. That means he was in the womb of Rohini for 14 months, according to what our acharyas have written. And then he appeared just so he'd be the elder brother. And then the waning moon, and then so Krishna appeared the same time, that's what's stating here, same time as by the son of Yashoda and the son of Devaki. Krishna appeared as both the son of Devaki and the son of Yashoda. So Mother Yashoda was actually the mother of Krishna. But when the arrangement was that Krishna was transferred by Vasudeva to bring his son Krishna, it was Vasudeva Krishna entered into the Yasoda Nandana Krishna, and they became one Krishna. Should we do that one again? Yeah, I think so. Balaram's, that first part is pretty straightforward, at least like the math. Balaram was conceived as the seventh child, transferred to the womb of Rohini when he was 3 months old. We're still in the womb of Devaki. He stayed in the womb of Rohini for another 11 months? Yeah, 11 months. So 14 months. And then he took birth 8 days before Krishna took birth. Then there's Krishna. So Krishna, we'll hear, is coming up. There's, from the mind, the eighth child, from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki to the womb of Devaki. Krishna flowed in that way and appeared as the eighth child of Devaki. But that eighth child of Devaki was Vasudeva Krishna. They understood him not in the Braja mood, they understood him in the Vaikuntha mood or the Aishvarya mood. That's how they understood him. The four-armed form. When Vasudeva, then Krishna formed withdrew his forearm form and showed a tiny child form. You're going to see a painting with the child form. He has 4 arms too, but 2 arms. It's the artist's. So Krishna was taken across the river Jamuna and placed by the side of Yashoda. But Yashoda had also given birth to Yasodanandana Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, the original Krishna. So the 2 Krishnas became one Krishna. Why not? And so the child that was raised by Yashoda was her child. Plus. Because within the original form of Krishna, everything is there. But this other form of Krishna that was brought by Vasudeva entered into the form, and we'll hear the commentary saying, they didn't notice anything. Yasoda didn't notice anything. Nanda didn't notice anything. And they all lived happily ever after. But that's the detail. So here's the text. Without the pregnancy period being completed, in the 8th month, Devaki and Yashoda gave birth at the same time, the same night, at midnight, when Krishna was transferred by Vasudeva. That very same night, at midnight, Yashoda gave birth to 2 children. Yes? Who is referred to when the word Devakyam is used? Here comes a detail. When Hari was appearing to Devaki, Nanda's wife Yashoda So here's a detail. The detail that it's a little difficult to understand. I went through it 6 times. It was still difficult to understand. The term Devakyam can refer to either Devaki or Yashoda. I'll say it again twice. The commentary is saying this term Devakyam can refer to Devaki or to Yashoda. Braja, not Partnyam. Vishnu, this is Baladev, his commentary. Vishnu, who is that same Janardana, yes, Lord of the Heart, suitably appeared as a perfect form to Devaki, Vasudev's wife. Devakyam, Sauri, Patnyam. And right after that, this is still Baladev, right after that, right after the Lord's birth from the womb of Yashoda, Durga also had an origination in Yashoda. So 2 twins, boy and a girl. And Durga was the female. This fact is clear from the following verse. Quote, chapter 3, verse number 47. Thereafter, exactly when Vasudeva, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, was about to take the newborn child from the delivery room, Yogamaya, the Lord's spiritual energy, took birth as the daughter of the wife of Maharaj Nanda. So that's not so difficult. In this way, Yashoda had a pair of offsprings, a boy and a girl. It is understood that the pair was perceived neither by Vasudeva nor by Yashoda. She nor Nanda knew that 2 children were born. They just thought 1 child was born. So when there was this switcheroo, that is, Vasudeva left the child from his wife, Devaki, by the side of Yashoda, who was asleep. He took the female child, Durga, back to the prison. Yes, we all know that one. Nanda's wife had 2 names. So here's the technical. Yashoda and Devaki. Therefore, she developed friendship with Devaki, Vasudeva's wife. So Yashoda was known as Yashoda. But in some cases, she was known as Devaki. That doesn't give an explanation. Why was she called why Devaki is Devaki? Because she's the son of Devaka. But there were 6 other sisters, sons of or daughters of Devaka. So why Yashoda was also known as Devaki, no explanation that I've come across. Krishna is the son of Yashoda and Nanda. Here's from Canto 10, chapter 5. When a son was born, Nanda became overjoyed. Nanda took his son, and Brahma said, I offer obeisances to the son of a cowherd. Again, this is Baladev Vidyavasan's commentary. He's like a lawyer building a case. As Vasudeva channeled the Lord in Devaki, Nanda channeled the Lord in Yashoda, as in the case of a guru and disciple through consciousness. However, due to the Lord's order, Durga entered Yashoda's womb, much like Sankarshan entered Rohini's womb. Now, how Sankarshan entered Rohini's womb, how did that happen? Yogamaya transferred. So Durga similarly entered into Yashoda's womb in a similar manner. Baladev is really active in this little section of the 10th canto. Therefore, Hari is a legitimate son of Yashoda, just like he is a legitimate son of Devaki. And now Gopal Champu. Afterward, in the month of Magh, on the first day of the waning phase of the moon, and at night, Yashoda saw a graceful something, or something that was worshipped, because of which her drowsy condition was impeded, or which had much resemblance to a dream. That male child, concealing himself by the agency of a particular divine girl, who was covering him in every way, entered Yashoda's heart from the heart of the king of Vraja. Anybody lost? It's clear. Should we do it again? Do it again. Okay. It's called Immaculate Conception in Christianity. You've heard that term? You've never heard that term? Christ was the Son of God, and Joseph was the father, and Mary was the mother, and it was an Immaculate Conception, not the normal way of conception. That's the story that the Christians sing songs about. The Immaculate Conception. There's churches called the Immaculate Conception Church, the Immaculate Conception Church. It's a big part of their theology. So here it's being said, as with Vasudeva, Krishna appeared in the mind of Vasudeva because his mind was pure. Then from his mind to the mind of Devaki, and for the mind of Devaki, the womb of Devaki. Immaculate Conception. Similarly, what's being said here, this is Gopal Champu. The male child, concealing himself by the agency of a particular divine girl, Yogamaya, who was covering him in every way, entered Yashoda's heart from the heart of the king of Braj, Nanda. Now here it's saying heart instead of mind, but the principle is the same. Ananda Vrindama Champu. Due to austerities performed in previous lives, Vasudeva and Devaki received the opportunity to momentarily relish parental affection for Lord Krishna when he appeared before them in his form as Vasudeva. And his form as Vasudeva is, the symbols of Vishnu. This whole section in Chaitanya Charitamrita where the four symbols of Vishnu, there's a different name, Trivikram, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because of where the position of the symbols of Vishnu. So one of those is the Vasudeva position of which symbols are in the left hand, which symbols are in the right hand. So he appeared before them in his form as Vasudeva from the Nanda Vrindavan Champu, Kavi Karnapur. Again, thereafter, the Supreme Lord appeared as Govinda. Thereafter, the Supreme Lord appeared as Govinda before Nanda and Yashoda. His eternal parents, who had been smothering him with the sweetest form of parental love since time immemorial. You can say thereafter or simultaneously. Mother Yashoda resembled a lake of spiritual ecstasy in which brilliant blue lotus of personified bliss had appeared. Now going back to the prison house of Kamsa. So there's the four-armed form of Vishnu, assuming at their request the two-armed form of Krishna. Now here's two verses from Canto 10, chapter 3. Vasudeva then saw the newborn child, who had very wonderful lotus-like eyes, and who bore in his four hands. Now the common picture we see is fully mature adult-like form with four arms. That's commonly what we see. But here, specifically in the verse, who bore the four hands, the four weapons. On his chest, Srivatsa, and on his neck, Kastubha. There was this whole discussion. Where were we? Oh, yeah, it was in Alachua. There's a very nice scholarly devotee in Alachua. He's a scholar. Pran Govinda, Bengali, but he also reads Sanskrit, and he's very scholarly devotee. So he raised a question. We were speaking about the Kaliya Leela, and did you know that one of the gifts given by Kaliya and or the wives, some places it says the wives gave, some places it says Kaliya gave Krishna his Kastubha. So Pran Govinda was saying, how did he get it? How'd they get it? It was in their treasury. How'd they get it? Because the answer, here's the answer. When, this is from Compliments of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When Krishna was in the coils of the Kaliya serpent, the Kastubha gem fell into the lake. And somehow it managed its way to get to their treasure chest. So the Kastubha gem was now in the treasure chest instead of on Krishna because he had it from his birth. But Pran Govinda was saying, was he born with a Kastubha gem? He's born with a Kastubha gem. And when in the coils of the Kaliya serpent, it fell off. And then it was given back to him. And the commentary of the Acharyas is that in this way, because it was a gift given to Krishna, then his divinity was still concealed. Now I don't know what happened up until he was given back the Kastubha gem, because when he's little, he's got a Kastubha gem. Anyway, that's a detail. On his chest, the mark of Srivats, and on his neck, the brilliant Kastubha gem. So here's the painting where he's showing Krishna, the little baby form with four arms, sitting on a little nice pillow there. Vasudeva Devaki. Dressed in yellow, his body blackish like a dense cloud, his scattered hair fully grown. What new child has all of this? His helmet and earrings sparkling uncommonly with the valuable gem Vaidurya, the child, decorated with brilliant belt, armlets, bangles, and other ornaments, appeared very wonderful. I don't believe it, right? Why not? To be continued. So that this is part one of a 6-part presentation, 5 or 6-part presentation on Krishna's appearance for Krishna, warm up for Krishna Janmashtami. Any questions? And one of my answers is going to be, why not? If you're the personality of God and you can do anything you want to do, why not? It's loving exchange with his devotees. And in different ways. He's reciprocating in loving dealings. It's so clear. One of my favorite appreciations of spending so much weeks after weeks after weeks discussing Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. It started from the Memorial Day weekend with Garuda, and it's been nonstop since then. And it's really nice. And one of the special things is rasa. Krishna comes and does this and that and the other thing. Pritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya. But he's exchanging loving dealings. He's receiving and extending. He's enjoying and they're enjoying. And why not? And he knows exactly how to move their hearts, tickle their hearts, jubilate their hearts in such a way that the best of all things happen. And there's so many, even the demons, they want Krishna as their enemy. Okay, I'll be your enemy. You won't get a better enemy than me. And Lord Brahma. I mean, it's so variegated. Look what he did with Lord Brahma. I'm the creator. I've got mystic powers. The source is Lord Vishnu. He showed him so many Vishnus. And not only so many Vishnus, each of the Vishnus surrounded by so many potencies, and so many potencies personified offering prayers. There's a big cacophony of prayer concert. The way that the commentary says the spiritual universes were, and the material universes were coming and going from his 4-year-old body. And then poof, they all disappeared. It was a loving exchange. The result of that loving exchange was Brahma didn't want to go back to Brahmaloka. He wanted to stay with Krishna in Vrindavan in any position. He had such regard, admiration, appreciation. When he said all of that to Krishna, what did Krishna say? Nothing. Because he had some service to do. So he's carrying this experience. I want to be in Vrindavan. I want to be in Vrindavan. You got your service to do. Sound familiar? And when one becomes immersed in this katha, the heart goes and the body stays. Until it's kaput, and then you go where the heart goes. If that's where your heart is. And if not, then you go where else So the advent of Krishna is a very important feature of understanding the transcendental nature. There's like 9 cantos that precede the 10th canto, and all of that's needed to help get to the 10th canto or have been qualified to hear properly. And it's rasa. Krishna's exchanging with all of his devotees in different ways. Okay. Yes.
I'm just trying to understand, Guru Maharaj, that Yashoda Maya gave birth to two kids. One is Yogamaya and one is Krishna.
Well, one is Durga.
Okay. And one is...
excuse me. Yogamaya. And then Yogamaya became Durga.
Okay.
Electricity became electricity.
Yogamaya and Krishna.
Yes.
And Devaki also gave birth to Krishna at the same time.
4-armed.
Oh, okay. So when Vasudev brings baby Krishna to...
the Vasudeva Krishna merged into the Yasodanandana Krishna.
Okay. So, okay.
No problem.
So the both...
Because Yasodanandana Krishna already has Vasudeva Krishna inside him anyways.
Okay.
You got room for 2 of them.
So they both became one. So they both became one already?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are one. But it's just like what Brahma saw. There's all these Vishnu forms that came from whom? And came from one. And then they're withdrawn, and there's one. No problem. If you're omnipotently powerful Krishna and omnipotent powerful Krishna, no, there's nothing you can't do. Well, there's only one thing you can't do. You have to become Radharani to experience the love that Radharani feels. So he did that too.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Who are Kinnaras and Gandharvas? Are they demigods?
They're not exactly demigods, they're semigods. Because their function is different. The demigods, the term commonly is they're controllers of XYZ features of the cosmos. Each time a Manu comes in, he has his own staff, and they help him do what Manu's got to do. And Manu's doing what he does to help Brahma do what Brahma's got to do. So they maintain the show. And then there's the Kinnaras, Gandharvas, and Apsaras, and they're not managers of the universal affairs, but they have a function. So sometimes, one of the ways they're described is there's Bhumandala, Bhuvar, and Svargaloka. So they're not exactly in Svargaloka, but they're not exactly in Bhuvarloka either. So it's something in the buffer zone between the two regions. That's where they reside. And they have a function that's other than controlling the affairs of the universe, in charge of the wind, in charge of the rain, in charge of stuff. They're entertainers. And they're devotees. They're exalted devotees. But they're not the Kshatriya type of exalted devotees. They don't manage the affairs of the universe. Okay? Yes, behind you.
Maharaj, I have 2 questions. The description of Devaki was Deva Rupinyam, or she had a spiritual form, or the form that was similar to Krishna, or like in the likeness of Krishna.
Yes.
So something I was thinking about as I've been hearing some of the classes about Lord Balaram is how Lord Balaram went back to Vrindavan and started dancing with the gopis, and he's discussed that they're young gopis.
Yeah.
So the question I was thinking, just like Krishna, who doesn't age past 16, because he has a spiritual form, he can do what he likes with his form, obviously. With Devaki and the gopis and other associates of the Lord, do they age? Do they have a different laws or rules that govern their body versus, let's say, ours?
Well, I've not read anything specific about the answer to your question, because some of them, like, for example, Krishna's, Vasudev's father, or, they seem to age beyond just 16, because Ugrasena and etc. They're elderly looking. But Krishna doesn't become elderly looking, although he's elderly. That there's immediate associates. This is drawn from the Brahma Vimohan Leela chapter 13. The cowherd boys have Satchitananda bodies. The cowherd boys have Satchitananda bodies. And because they have Satchitananda bodies, for example, Lord Brahma cannot bewilder them. He can't put them to sleep because they have Satchitananda bodies. Material energy doesn't act on them. Now, do they get a little older? That's, as with those Satchitananda bodies of theirs, do they get older? Well, it's quite flexible. This is, the laws of Yogamaya are different than the laws of Mahamaya. The laws of Mahamaya say, yes, you get older. The laws of Yogamaya are not the same. Here's a nice example. Because if you're listening to the Balaram Leela, he had two wives, Varuni, and the other wife, Revati. Revati, the details and details. Her father was Kukudmi, and they went to Brahmaloka to verify who she should marry, and 27 yuga cycles passed while they were up in Brahmaloka waiting till the concert to end. So when she came back, she had a tall body. So Balaram took his plow and shrunk her body to the right size. Quite flexible. So the answer to your question is, by the will of the Supreme Lord, anything can happen with the bodies of Satchitananda forms. Satchitananda, the Vigraha of the Satchitananda forms can be whatever is appropriate for the pastime. There may be, this action, that action, and the appropriate action, so that quite flexible. But it's different law. So your question is, do they age? The eternal associates of Krishna don't age like the Mahamaya forms age. They may, according to the flexibility that what Krishna wants. And it's quite mystical. But Yogamaya, or the internal potency of Krishna acting, doesn't have material laws.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Second question?
Second question was one of the most, I would say, powerful experiences for someone in a woman's body. I don't have one, but I know from my wife that to give birth to a child is like a very powerful experience. It's obviously very painful, but it's also deeply emotional. And for Devaki in this case, as Krishna transitions from Vasudev's mind or Nanda's mind to Devaki's mind and then to her womb, something I was not so clear about is what's the transition between the womb and him appearing? Does he just like pop out like there, or how?
I've not read anything about it.
There was no midwife involved or anything like that, I assume.
They're in a prison. Just the two of them, and then it became the three of them. And look at how he's addressed. Pretty dapper newborn child.
I was curious about the technology, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. If you come across something that our acharyas have written describing this, please let me know. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for such a wonderful discussion about the appearance of Lord Krishna. I actually did not know about, Yashoda having two children, right? Yeah,
boy and a girl.
Yes.
There's a description. She was so exhausted from the whole experience, she fell asleep. She didn't even know that she had two. Now,
Yeah, that's
if a mother gives birth to two children, is she not going to know?
So I had a question. It's a different kind of little different question, and please bear with me. I might have a little confusion here, but I'll try to state it to the best of my ability. So Vasudev Krishna was four-handed, and he merged into Nanda Krishna when he was transferred.
Yes,
Then we hear that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan.
that's right.
And then we hear Nanda Krishna leaves Yashoda and Nanda to
Wait,
go.
wait, just say it slower.
Okay. So Nanda Krishna,
Yeah, Nanda.
yeah,
Nanda,
he leaves Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj to go back to Devaki in Mathura.
No,
He doesn't.
no. Oh. When he's 11.
Yes, at 11.
Okay.
Right. That's
But
what I'm...
the original Krishna stays, and the Vasudeva Krishna goes.
Okay, so
There's that scene. Slow down. You slow down. How did they get from Vrindavan to Mathura? Akrura came in a Rolls Royce. And Akrura made a request. I'd like to take bath in the river. Sure. Took bath, went back. Now they want to take bath. And he, Akrura's watching, and then what does he see? There's a switcheroo. He sees what he sees. And then a form of Krishna gets back on the chariot. So Krishna stayed in Vrindavan, and Vasudeva Krishna went the rest of the journey.
Okay.
Ah.
Yes. Okay, so that he wasn't a four-handed
No.
form when he went
No.
back,
That was just
when he was...
when he appeared in the prison cell. 4. And then you saw the painting. It's this classic painting. It's just the artists do what they want to do. But he assumed a childlike form. So I've only seen this one. He's a little baby with 4 arms. But it commonly is a little baby with 2 arms. And they'll take the little baby with 2 arms across the river Jamuna. by the side of Yashoda. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anyone else?
Gumaraj, this is a very special opportunity for us to prepare our heart leading up to
Yeah.
the appearance of the Lord.
Yeah.
I can only imagine from this immersion of hearing from you every day, when the curtain opens on Saturday at midnight, it'll have an impact on us.
Yeah, the class that's going to be for the public is going to be different than this kind of a class. We're not going to go into this. They'll throw rotten tomatoes at me if I do that.
So thank you so very much for...
It's going to be simple.
Yeah.
I hope.
So thank you for helping us prepare our hearts in preparation for. A question that comes to mind, Guru Maharaj, when we first start hearing, it seems pretty black and white, like Krishna is the foster son of Nanda Maharaj.
Yes.
And then as the years go on, we hear this nuanced and all these subtleties that are just so very beautiful. And we realize there's so many shades of gray in between. And it seems like this is Krishna's plan for us in terms of we are not ready to receive.
There's the eternal relationship between Yashoda and Nanda and Krishna. It's eternal. And so things happen the way that things happen, but that's the Leela part, but it's eternal. And just like her question, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan. The original form of Krishna, son of Nanda and Yashoda, may not be manifest to the world, but he's in Vrindavan. So, that's a nuance. It's kind of elusive. Even you can hear it 100 times. It's like, come again? And within Krishna is everything. It's a basic teaching in Bhagavad Gita. Twice, thrice. He's the source of everything. Everything is within him. So the relationship between Nanda and Yashoda, in the Leela, it may be called foster father, foster parents. Because Vasudeva brought, and they raised Krishna as if he's their child, but he's really their child. Two Krishnas. Right? Two Krishnas? Okay, you're sure? Now, keep going.
I have a couple other questions for Marge, if you would allow.
Okay.
I think I've heard this, that when Vasudeva was carrying Vasudeva Krishna,
yeah, he slipped on his hand.
Yes, and then Vasudeva Krishna, I'm not sure if he was exchanged in the Yamuna for, I think I'm getting the Leelas mixed up. So he slipped out of his hand, but he recovered Vasudeva Krishna back from the Jamuna?
It's not clear.
Okay.
I'd have to read the commentary carefully before I answer that question. Because, it's the same. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So he's crossing the Jamuna from Mathura to Gokul, to Vrindavan. And when he goes to Vrindavan, that's where Swayam Bhagavan Krishna is, eternally. Manifest or not manifest, he's eternally there. So my very poor memory, you know how poor my memory is. My poor memory says Vasudeva Krishna slipped And Swayam Bhagavan Krishna was what he found. That's my memory. So that's Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, but that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna includes Vasudeva Krishna. Plus, everything is within Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. The Aishvarya is fully within Braja Nandana Krishna, the son of Vrindavan, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And plus the sweetness aspect. So that's my memory. Now, does that match your,
Yes, Lord.
and therefore?
So then the question is, and then he takes Vasudeva Krishna, who merges with Yashoda Nandana Krishna.
Yeah, with that explanation, with that, the explanation changes.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, he didn't carry. It's coming up, and then there'll be time between now and the other evening presentations where exactly what happened when Vasudeva was carrying Krishna. What happened, and when he placed Krishna by the side of Yashoda and took the female child, what transpired? Was there merging, or was it just what happened? The original Krishna and the original Krishna merged into original Krishna. One Krishna instead of two. Go ahead.
Lastly, Guru Maharaj, I've heard you explain how Srila Prabhupada took a break from translating Srimad Bhagavatam and started Krishna book because he wasn't sure how long he would have to live. And I find it just so very moving to know that even Prabhupada, who is, sent by Krishna himself to save us all, he has this uncertainty. So he doesn't know Krishna's plan of how many years Krishna is going to give him. But there is no fear associated with that. He just, full throttle ahead, serves Krishna, even though there's this vulnerability of not knowing how much time there is.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you would comment on that.
Sure. How long are we going to live? I mean, I had two discussions today, this evening, before coming here, on this very topic. The context of that topic, I'd rather not go into right now. But the point was, Kaladri was making this point. Time flies. He was saying, I'm 76, and his health is falling apart. And I don't know how long I have. So I better finish up business. No, he's go, Kaladri. He does more hours of service than some people do in 3 weeks, in one day. He's just an amazing person. And when he's not around, who's going to do all of what he does? But, it's not just volumes of service, it's the consciousness. And we have to finish our business. And finish the business includes awakening and detaching. Detaching from, not I don't care, detaching, but detaching from the sense of possessiveness and that's who I am. And you understand, we all have at least conceptually understand it, but how much are we actually living our life that way? And if we're not living our life that way, guess what? Purnarjanma. We don't want that. You don't want that. We don't want that for any of us. But we have like little bang on the side of the head and chant attentive japa, please, etc. And and have proper relationships amongst the Vaishnavas, and receive the training that's needed to help make all of that possible. And then and give. So it's like there's a lot to be done, internally and externally. We don't know how long we have. They're not fearful. It's just reality. Okay, somebody else. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I just wanted to understand if I heard this point properly, that Devaki was an expansion of the internal potency, as well as Radharani is an expansion of the internal potency.
You heard it correctly. But the feature of the internal potency may not be the Vraja feature, it may be the Vaikuntha feature or the Mathura feature. So there's different positions, but she's the internal potency for sure. So the comparison is being made. Ananda, the verse from Sri Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis, is a verse that's describing Radharani's position as the expansion of Krishna's internal potency. And as Radharani is an expansion of Krishna's internal potency, Devaki is also, but a different aspect or feature of. Does that answer your question? She's not Radharani. Radharani's in Braja. And Radharani doesn't leave Braja any more than Krishna leaves Braja. She doesn't leave Braja. But Devaki is in Mathura. And then she goes to Dwarka, but not Braja. It's not her place. But she's the Ananda Chinmaya Rasa of Krishna. Does that answer? Okay. I'm wondering how our younger generation people are processing all this. You two girls, is this like, what are they talking about? How much, what percentage of what's being discussed are you catching? 5%? %? Maybe? Okay. Well, here's something that you'll be happy to hear, I hope. Even if you don't understand it cognitively, spiritually, it's having an impact. It's spiritually because the topic is all about Krishna. And, the mind and the intellect and the capacity to sort things, this means this and that means that, and the puzzle pieces fit together. You may not have all of those tools developed yet, but it's in there. It's at some point in time when you're a little more accomplished in devotional life, oh, that's what that meant. A little light will go on. Then you start to put the puzzle pieces together. But it's the purification is the essence, not the cognitive, this matches that, fits with the other thing. Okay, yeah.
In the beginning, you had shown about the auspicious atmosphere of Vrindavan. And
it was very nice. I like
yes. And after his appearance, then Kansa says, kill all babies born within, can't remember, a few weeks.
Some period of time, yeah.
Yes. Which it's very painful to see babies killed and like that. So it almost turns quite terrifying. And someone actually asked me this question, like if Krishna's appearing, the Lord is appearing, then before his appearance also some babies die, after his appearance is this massacre of babies. So it doesn't seem very auspicious.
Inauspicious. All this auspiciousness, and then look at this. Why the inauspiciousness? There shouldn't be inauspiciousness. That's the idea. Well, divine and demoniac nature are always at play. For all the auspiciousness, Kamsa he didn't change because things became auspicious. He was Kamsa. He was totally not impacted. So vicious, the divine and demoniac nature. Divine and demoniac nature. They keep repeating. Prahlad, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's forces within the world. There's creation and there's destruction. And there's maintenance. And the destroying forces are powerful, depending upon, X, Y, Z circumstances that make them more powerful, and they want to become more powerful. Even in Krishna's presence. It makes sense. The logic that somebody wants to be all-powerful, and along comes somebody that's challenging my all-powerfulness. It's like what happened. It's not the same, but it's like what happened with Dvidvita. And he did battle with Balaram, and every tree he stripped and tried to clobber with Balaram. Balaram made it break into little pieces. Then he got boulders, and then he started with his fists. They don't get it. So they get it. Divine and demoniac nature. It's just part of the place. Even in Balaram's presence, even in Krishna's presence. Demoniac people are going to be demoniac. So Krishna wants to relieve the earth of the burden of such people. Especially when the demigods come and pray to him for that. Is there justice in the universe? What a tough spot to be in. Upadrashta Anamanta, and the people want bad stuff. And you got to be the Anamanta guy. Give the intelligence to the demon how they can do demoniac stuff. Blow up things and...
Guru Maharaj, thank you for such a wonderful class and the discussion also. Ever since I was a child, I've been hearing this particular story from Ramayana. Rama was banished to the forest by Kaikeyi, and Kausalya had to suffer that. So what they say is, in Krishna's lifetime, the roles get interchanged. Devaki becomes, Devaki is basically Kaikeyi, who loses her son early, and then, Yashoda gets to enjoy because Yashoda is Kausalya. I've heard this over and over again. I don't know how much truth is there. Thank you, Maharaj.
It's speculation. And people that, that's their business. Okay. Yes. But you get the last question. Isn't that nice?
I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be a good one.
In one of the slides, you were mentioning about, like, this is from Ananda Vrindavan Champu. There, you have quoted that Vasudeva and Devaki received the opportunity to momentarily relish parental affection.
Yes.
So I was wondering what momentary means, like, because
Oh, that's until midnight. He appeared at midnight, and before the morning came, he was gone. Now, he came back after some time, but that momentary, what mother has a newborn child and she doesn't nourish the newborn child? What's that like? But that's the momentary. And then he comes back. He frees them from the prison house, and they arrange his upanayana. They arrange him to go to school, and then he comes back at 2 months. He graduated in 2 months. Then he's at home with mom and dad. And he does what little boys do. So they had parental affection at a later stage, but the very, very beginning, that's the meaning, the very, very beginning. Momentary. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.